Chose Nature's Global Zoo as our global collaboration project. This lesson gives students the opportunity to create a virtual zoo that represents animals in the area that they live. They could be animals in their hometown, their state, or their country, and they get to share these animals with students from around the world. These students will create a website and add all of their animals, their chosen animals, into the zoo and share them. So here it says, students will research animals native to their country or area within their country and design a virtual zoo so that the Earth's citizens can visit it online. It does say that elementary student levels will be much less detailed than high school. Elementary students can complete any components that they are comfortable with, or they may simply look up different animals and present them with information about the animal and its habitat. So this could be really fun for elementary students to learn about the animals in their area. For example, here in Leavenworth, springtime brings the black bears out of hibernation. We also have salmon in the rivers towards the end of summer that are coming from the ocean and spawning in the rivers that they were born in, which is really cool. And it's a really fun way for students to learn about the different animals that maybe they haven't heard of, and share them with people and other students around the world. So the possible classroom activities that could be done with this lesson are collaboration with other classrooms to create the global zoo, have collaborating classrooms help design, critique, and edit, collaborating classrooms troubleshoot problems that occur and help other classrooms work around the problem, developing trust and new global contacts, and language facilitation. This activity is a great way for students in a classroom to work together with another classroom and use technology to help facilitate this project, which could be a really big learning curve, but also very beneficial to students. The expected outcomes are to create online virtual global zoo that students can visit and learn about animals in other parts of the world. And as I mentioned before, the students will be creating their own website and adding all of their chosen animals into that website to share with other students. You could present this website at either a global or youth conference in a home country or in another country, or virtually. Collaborate on the above presentation. Continued expansion of the zoo as classes join in. That could be really cool for students as the year progresses and as the seasons change. They can add more animals as they're learning about more animals so that other students can see the animals that are in their hometown. Let's see. Group contributions to others and or the planet. Expanded knowledge of animal life in different countries. Understanding of the extent of threatened, endangered, and measures being taken to help those animals. Sensitivity to global environmental issues. Cultural understanding. New global contacts, which was mentioned earlier. Project outcome available for use by students for an extended period of time. And excitement in the completion of a joint project, thus producing more globally in-tuned students. This seems like a really fun activity for students of all ages. Students at a higher level could add in native plants if they want to take it a step further, which could be really cool. Thanks.
So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, this virtual zoo project sounds all well and good, but what exactly is it going to take to set it up? Well, that's the lucky thing about this particular project. Though it's complicated in the way that students have to show their learning with the product that they actually have to produce, in terms of what they actually need to do it, it's very, very simple. First off, they need an internet connection. This can be easily accomplished with a classroom set of Chromebooks, which is becoming more and more of an education standard. More and more classrooms just have Chromebooks for student personal use. So the internet access is already covered. And then at that point, basically everything that they need is already on the internet and is already free to use. They need to be able to share their work with each other in a way that all of them can edit and work on it at the same time. Google Docs has you covered. That whole Microsoft Office programs, all cloud-based, free to use, easy to access, already has that base covered. They need to be able to contact one another, maybe deal with not being able to meet outside of class. Maybe sometimes people can't make it. They want to get into contact with other classrooms. They can easily do that with Zoom meetings or other video sharing programs, and Chromebooks already come built in with webcams, so recording videos and getting them into their Google Drive and sharing them with other people is incredibly easy. They need to be able to build a website. That's another thing. If you just Google free website builders, you can come up to lists that have a bunch. You just need to pick one that works the best for whatever your classroom specific needs are. But yeah, almost everything about this assignment is going to be done online. And once you have the internet access, everything that you're going to need is already online. In terms of handouts, they won't really need any except for your initial instructions handout. And in terms of presentation, they might want to use a projector, but most classrooms have one of those too. The only thing that you might want as a physical resource would be a lot of sheets of maybe 18 by 24 paper and some coloring materials, because there is a portion here that has them design a map for their virtual zoo, and some students, I know I would prefer to draw a physical map rather than trying to use a computer program to create one. But other than that, everything that this is required for this assignment can be found online, is basically free to use, is really easy to use, and can be shared with anybody who is even taking part in the assignment. So all in all, it's a complicated assignment for the students, but in terms of the actual execution, it's very easy to pull off.
So now I'm going to be talking about the standards, and we are going to start with Standard 7, which is the Global Collaborator, which basically means that students are going to use digital tools to broaden their perspectives and also enrich their learning by working with others and in teams both locally and globally. So Standard 7A states that students use digital tools to work with friends and people from different backgrounds or cultures. In one version of this activity, students are expected to work with their peers, either in their class or other collaborating classrooms, to create a global zoo. So they will be working with a variety of students while using technologies to complete this task. Standard 7B states that students use collaborative technologies with others, including peers, experts, and community members, to explore different points of view on various topics. One of the expected outcomes for this lesson is that students are going to share their virtual zoos at a conference, either in their home country or somewhere else in the world, and they're going to do so virtually. So they are potentially having the ability to share their zoos with people across the world and sharing what they learned about these animals. Standard 7C states that students will perform a variety of roles within a team using age-appropriate technology to complete a project or to solve a problem. In this lesson, it's to complete a project. And one thing about this lesson is it's adaptable for students all the way up to high school. And so it will be using age-appropriate technology. And when creating the zoos and working with one another, these students are going to be taking on different roles, such as researching different animals or being in charge of certain parts of the zoo. So everyone will have their own role with the zoo. And then finally, for Standard 7, 7D, states that students work with others using collaborative technologies to explore local and global issues. So when these students are creating their zoos, they're also learning about their habitats. So they're going to see what kind of issues or problems that these animals run into, whether they're man-made or just in the environment in general. And they're also using technology not only to create their zoos, but also using it to research their animals and the problems that they might encounter. So next we are going to go to standard 3, which is the knowledge constructor. This standard pretty much states that students critically curate a variety of resources using digital tools to construct knowledge, produce creative artifacts, and make meaningful learning experience for themselves and others. Standard 3A states that students collaborate with a teacher to employ appropriate research techniques to locate digital resources that will help them in their learning process. So what this lesson needs is that students are going to be researching their animals and their habitats. So they're going to need to know how they can find resources that are going to give them information about their animals. And most likely, being in the elementary school level, teachers are going to have to assist with finding the appropriate resources and just teaching them the techniques to locate those resources. Standard 3B states that students learn how to evaluate sources for accuracy, perspective, credibility, and relevance. So during this lesson, students are going to be researching animals, and they're going to need to differentiate between what they need to include in their zoo and what information is not necessary. So they are going to have to know what they want to use and what they want to leave out. And additionally, they're going to need to make sure that their sources are accurate, so they're getting correct information from a reliable source that's going to be true. Moving on to standard 3C, using a variety of strategies, students organize information and make meaningful connections between resources. As students are going to complete this assignment, they should be using various sources to get information about their animals, including videos about the animals or their habitats, images to where they can get an idea of where the animals live or what it looks like, and then even using maps to get an idea of where the animals are located in the world and what the surrounding geographical features also look like. And then finally, 3D states students explore real-world problems and issues and collaborate with others to find answers or solutions. So touching back on standard 7, we talked about how students are going to be exploring animals and the way they live and their habitats. So they're also going to encounter issues or problems that these animals are running into, such as deforestation or being driven out of their homes. So this is information that the students can include in their zoo's information about the animals. So it could be used to inform others about some of the problems that certain animals are facing and what we can do to make sure that those problems and issues go away.